everybody, and welcome to a Cure Series cast. We have 3-0s going against each other this week. On the right, we have got MZAAZM Mohammed, as well as on the left, we have Xavier Ruiz. I think he's known as Jinx Cruz on here. So we'll be bringing them some Cure Series action. I love that Dragon mat Mohammed's rocking on the right. I'm a big Dragon fan, so that's really cool. And then I'm assuming this is an anime on the left. I don't recognize it, so unfortunately I can't say what that one is, but I've played many a match against Xavier, as well as seen him play many a match. He loves his 6 CP starter Vaan, and we got that new Vaan announced today too, the full art version for the Opus 14 coming up. So I wonder if he'll abandon. I mean, they fulfill pretty different roles, right? So I'm sure he's gonna be sticking to his 6 CP gun, but I know how much he loves to just jam that thing out turn 1. So I have no idea what Mohammed is playing. He usually plays something pretty competitive, so I'm expecting to see maybe Sophie, Monks, maybe Samurais, something of that nature. But that's kind of that's always the joy of starting one of these out, is that I'm never sure what they're playing until we see it. Okay, so it looks like on Mohammed's side he ditched a Kuchulain and a Nimbus to put out a Sarah Mobius. That's unfortunate. I know how much that deck likes to be on backup, so I wonder if he just had some bad luck and didn't draw any. Go ahead and go in for a point of damage. We'll hit Illumina, so it looks like Wind Lightning on Xavier Ruiz's side. To start off, he pitched a White Mage for a White Mage. Interesting. That is multi-unit, so we could have put down 2 of them, but he must have some other things he wants to use from his hand that he felt comfortable getting rid of it. All right, and then looks like Mohammed discarded a Sophie as well as another White Tiger Lucy Nimbus. Put down Sarah. I looked away for just a second to see what he was searching, but I'm assuming it was Princess Sarah. And it looks like we put down a Dragoon off of an Alba. Now we're discarding Ritz and tapping our White Mage backup for Holy Dragoon Kane. Nice to see this card. You don't get to see this card a whole lot. So Kane has haste, of course. He can't take any damage from sources outside of battle. And he'll go ahead and swing back, pop Delita into damage. So now Xavier has 2 backups, and Mohammed has his Sarah out. If he did indeed get the Princess Sarah, or surely he'll tap the Sarah and do that. But first he's going to swing in with his own Sarah, hit a Pinello into damage. Man, that's 2 backups we've hit into damage, but that one we're happy because it's got a burst. I believe it searches. Does it search Vaan specifically? I can never remember what that Pinello searches. If it searches a Sky Pirate, or if it searches Vaan. That one might search Vaan, but there he is. I'm Captain Bosch von Ronsenberger of Dalmasca. I can never say that right. Our good 6 CP Vaan comes in, which means Mohammed right now is wishing he had an Amaterasu, because that is that card's worst enemy. But in the interim, hey, if we can get towards that Sophie stuff, we'll see how Vaan can stack. All right, so we tapped our Sarah, put out Princess Sarah. I can't hear them, so I don't know what element he declared it for. I'm just going to assume it was Earth. Then we pitched a Sophie and a Delita, put out Kolka, and we searched ourselves a White Tiger Lucy Nimbus, which is probably our 3rd one. Ooh, we're playing Kunshira off of 2 backups. This is one of the first times I've gotten to see someone do this. I haven't really seen this card much. So Kunshira is currently at 9,000 power, and it has haste. It can go in right away. And of course, it's got its wonderful special, although with both our backups down, I don't see that being too much of an issue right now. So we're definitely threatening to deal 2 points of damage to our opponent. The Sophie deck's pretty control-oriented. It doesn't look like... I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything in Xavier's deck to remove from the break zone, which is kind of a shame because with both Nimbus and both Sophie in there, this would be a pretty good time to shut that deck, the deck down with a Mist Dragon. But yeah, I mean, he's playing Wind Lightning, so unless he's got a surprise, maybe a Kadaj somewhere, I don't see that happening at the moment. So first we'll let Kunshira go in. Here she comes for 9. Take a point of damage. It's an Ovalia. Would have been nice to have that to get our Agrius online. And here comes Holy Dragoon Kane. There's Claris. I got Claris and Kolka confused earlier. So Claris will allow us to search out a Job King, add it to our hands. I'm going to guess it's King of Concordia. Technically another copy of Kolka if he's available. And yeah, there it is, King of Concordia. Not too bad. And then we'll see if Xavier just passes right here or if he's got anything else to ramp up with. He put the Kunshira out, so unless he's got another cheap backup. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just slam down that Vaan. Like, maybe he's actually being patient and he wants to wait till damage 5 to do it. I'm so used to seeing him just, like, dump that card out as soon as he gets it. So this is it's kind of surprising to see he hasn't. All right, Mohammed going right to combat, striking back. There's a Zemus. Oh, man. That would have been a great card to see right there. Have something else be on 3 damage. Zemus comes in, just gets us 2 cards back. That would have been a real nice one. Sarah's putting in work. She stayed on the board so far. I know when he plays his Vaan deck, he has a lot of bodies. I haven't seen any removal so far. So, yeah. Excuse me. So I wonder what ways he has to actually deal with this Sarah Mobius and get her off the field. All right. Now we know we've got King of Concordia in hand. Just doled 3 of our backups. Here comes the Tiger. Time to just start locking our opponent down. Okay, so he must have actually made the Princess Sarah Ice then, since he can only be cast off backups. So now he had Earth, Ice, and Water. Looks like we went after the White Mage. Going to go ahead and lock him out of that win CP. That will definitely put a bit of a hamper on any Vaan plans we may have had for this next turn. And the Kunshira can go toe-to-toe with that White Tiger, so Kunshira can freely swing in. In theory, we can threaten the Kane as well, too, if we have the Gunjir special. That is an if, and then we'll go ahead and get rid of another Sarah Mobius and put down the King of Concordia. So Mohammed's finally up to 4 backups. That's got to feel good. They're both on 3 damage. They both now have 2 bodies. He kind of has the more threatening body with the White Tiger. And the nice thing is, too, so if we have that Kunshira special, that's a Spellblade, Tempest Spellblade, I think it's called. I can't remember the exact name. But now, with our White Mage backup down, we're going to have to pay something from hand to do it. That being said, if our opponent blocks with the Tiger, and then Kunshira forces it out, okay, so we're going to combat. Here comes the Kane, swinging in, and you've got to be wondering, is he bluffing? Does he have the Gunjir special? If he has the Gunjir special, I believe it doubles his attack power. I think it goes to 10,000, and might even give him first strike as well. So Kane will just slants, just impale good old White Tiger there if he dares to block. So either Xavier is really bluffing, or he's got it in hand. He's like, all right, would you want to risk it? And we do have that Dragoon backup up as well. I don't think he has one in the break zone, but in theory, we could do that. We also could still have the Kunshira special, the Tempest Spellblade. All right, there's our second Ovalia. Oh, man. If we lose one more of those, our Agriuses aren't going to be getting our full power. Well, and there's Agrius. They were right next to each other. I'm sure Mohammed would have loved to have drawn that. The good news is she is a burst, so we will still get our card draw off of that because we do have 3 job princesses on the field by my count. So it's nice you get the draw, but it's funny. Agrius is one of those cards that even though it has a burst, usually when I see it go into burst, I'm a hair disappointed. I'm like, I really would have rather just drawn her and then played her to the field. But then again, without the Ovalias, I mean, it's still draw a card in a big body. So, man, they were both right there, Agrius and Ovalia. She was protecting her charge, and they went into damage together. Okay, so now what do we do if we're Xavier? Because the Tiger can just freeze anything. Although that Tempest Spellblade special is always kind of that Alua threat. You know, we can just reactivate the Kunshira. Our opponent's forwards will lose a bunch of power. But we also have to be... So there's probably no haste in that deck. So I don't think Sophie's an issue yet, because even if we hit him twice, Sophie's going to put us to 6. All right, we're discarding Diana. Are we casting Shamhazi? No. Is this a Behemoth King? It is. The Sage of Hess has come down. Very interesting play. I like this. So, the cleanest way to deal with this would either be Sarah Mobius, who's already on the field, or a Hecaton Kyre. Or we could even Cuchulainn, the Behemoth. However, if he targets the Behemoth K with the White Tiger, then it will just break it. So he will dull it and freeze it. It'll keep it down, but then the White Tiger will just break immediately. So I like this presentation of threat from Xavier. Just like, okay, what are you going to do? Because this thing's going to hit you, for 2 points of damage next. So you'll just basically die to this board next turn. Now, he's not on damage 5 yet, so that's good. So it's not an automatic death. It'll deal 1 point of damage on attack. Put us to 6, but then we can still block it because Xavier's currently down on 5. Kukulain's a great counter to this card, either this turn and then you dull freeze it, or even next turn before it attacks. And that way it's just a normal attacker. So assuming he has Kukulain in hand, we've definitely got options. And then, of course, beyond that, we know our opponent has Vaan in hand. So because of that, we have to be careful putting him to 5 damage. Because, again, unless I don't think there's Amaterasu in this deck, and doesn't have wind either, so since wind and fire are the only 2 colors that have auto ability cancels, he's going to get that Vaan at damage 5, and that could be a game ender right there. So Muhammad definitely has to be careful how he plays this turn out. All right, we declared an attack with the White Tiger Lassie, dull froze our Kane, and we did hit an Alba into burst, but unfortunately Alba's one of the weaker bursts in the game, as she requires another Job Warrior of Darkness to be in your... I think it's just on the field. I don't think it necessarily has to be on the forward line, but need one on the field. And since we already threw out Diana, unfortunately, it's just a burst that doesn't do anything for us. So we definitely didn't want to block with the Behemoth King. Could have offered a trade, but again, we're going for that threat next turn. And we do always have that Princess Sarah backup, so he could have bumped up the White Tiger by 1, and that would not have been good for us. Oh, one of my favorite cards. Haven't seen this one in a hot minute. So looks like we tapped 3 of our backups. We discarded an Agrius from hand, and we're playing Opus 5 Legend Cecil. So we're going to go ahead and... Oh, we could get the Kane or the Kunshira here. We're on 5 damage, so both are valid targets. So who do we want to get rid of? That's a good question. I would assume it's the Kunshira, yeah, because he dull froze the Kane, so that would seem kind of silly to then break it anyway. But Kunshira will disappear. Excuse me, folks. Sorry, I've had a long day. Now, if we had the Tempest Spellblade, in theory, we could have reactivated her to avoid that, but it would have cost us, I think, 6 cards from hand. Yeah, because we would have had... Or no, not 6. Total of 6 CP, because basically we would have had to pitch a Wind and a Lightning, and then another copy of Kunshira, so that would have been very expensive if we even had it. Really good turn so far by Muhammad. He dull froze one of his forwards and then just played a body and got rid of another one. He's going to pass the turn, and he's currently set up that he didn't put him to damage 5 yet either, so that Vaan is not live, which is really nice. So, obviously not knowing what's in Xavier's hand. Is that Maya? Are we showing what we're discarding? Is it time to pull the Vaan trigger? There's 6. Captain Bosch Vaan. Oh no! We're just going to go for the kill here. Oh man, Bahamut 0. Yeah, unless he's got something to stop this. I don't know how many cards he has in hand. But even if, like, the only way he could easily interact with it is he could use Cecil's Dark Special to break one of his own forwards. Assuming it says choose a forward, I can't read the card in front of me. It says an Octagon. Unless it says forward opponent controls, and obviously that's not an option. But, yeah, if Bahamut 0 goes through, Behemoth King's just going to end the match right now unless he hits something into burst that stops. Oh, I don't know what could possibly stop it in this set, though. Like, you would need a fire EX burst that deals 12,000 damage. So, yeah, basically no burst is going to stop this. That's not true. A Cecil would. If you hit another Cecil on the damage, that would kill it before it took that fatal point of damage. Do we have a response here? Yeah, he pitched the Vaan. He's just going for the kill. He's just going for the Bahamut 0. So we have a Kryl in hand. We threw that out. Mist Dragon. Nice. So we're going to Mist Dragon the target, which presumably was the White Tiger Lassie Nimbus. That will make the effect fizzle. Very nice. Yep, that'll do it. So where does this put us? So Behemoth K will swing. I mean, he has to block Behemoth King. So if we have another Haster, there's another Kunshira. So he did have it in hand, but he knew to wait for it. So is this lethal? So Behemoth King will swing, automatically deal a point of damage. You have to block it. And then... So the wise thing here is block with the Ceremobius. Let it die. And then Kunshira... If a Kunshira swings in, Cecil can at least block and trade the Kunshira. Unless we've got Tempest Spellblade in hand. But yeah, and we'll have to offer the trade here, which we will. And we'll pass back. Okay. So, man, I can't believe Xavier threw out Vaan. I didn't think I'd ever see the day. I can't tell how many Muhammad has in hand. It looks like Xavier might be down to 1. So it was an expensive turn. He had to cast, you know, he lost 4 in hand with the Bahamut 0, and thank goodness for, I mean, it did force Muhammad to have to use that Mist Dragon defensively. He does still have the White Tiger-lessy Nimbus, but, I mean, yeah, he this Behemoth King, it can't even attack. The moment it attacks, the game ends. So unless you've got Cuchulainn in hand, you could target it with the White Tiger. You'll lose your White Tiger because it'll die just for targeting it, so you'll freeze it, in which case then you just have to get something out there to block the Cane. So I don't know. I can't see how much he's got in hand, so I don't really know what his options are here, but he's not out of it yet. He survived the Bahamut 0 turn. That's something then more than a lot of folks can say. And hopefully Xavier didn't overextend there. Going for that kill, but that Cecil came up huge. Another Cecil here would be really good as well. And honestly, you just use it to target the Behemoth King. Yeah, you'll lose the Cecil, but who cares? The White Tiger can still attack. He's brave. And the question is, Muhammad needs to ask himself, do you even want to attack with the White Tiger here? Again, if you're freezing the Behemoth King, maybe it's worth it, but like, yeah, you could free. Do you want to put him to 5? I guess is what I'm trying to add. Because if you put it this moment, you put him to 5. I don't know. Okay, Cuchulainn. So here's what he's gonna do. He's gonna blank it now. Then he's gonna have the Tiger freeze it. So that's pretty good. So that way he can successfully freeze it without losing his White Tiger-lessy Nimbus. This card, man, is a beast and is putting in work. That was exactly what Muhammad needed to see to stay in this. Because now your opponent either needs another Kunshira. But I mean, as long as we leave the Sarah up, yeah, that's the thing is Xavier's still going to need some tricks. He already dodged 1 Bahamut 0. But he, like I said, he spent a lot on that turn, and he doesn't have the backup resources that Muhammad has, so hopefully he did not overextend himself. But if that last card is also Vaan, we can play Vaan on our next turn. And then if we get out, I mean, Ritz or Adele or whatever else we're playing, who knows. Interesting. We Dolfroze the Cane. So there's another Dragoon backup. Okay, so we are on 5. So if we've got Vaan, he's definitely live now. So did we blank the Cane? Surely we used the Cuchulainn on the Behemoth King, right? He must have a way to kill it. He's got to, like, he's most likely going to Cecil it right now, right? Because I don't see why you would blank it and not kill it. And not Dolfreeze it. Mobius, make the 2 fight. Yeah. Oh, it's Delita, so we're going to get back some kind of 2 cost from our break zone. What do we want? We want a Sophie. Do we want Mobius here? Something else entirely. Sophie sets us up so that if our opponent doesn't kill us this turn, we win next turn no matter what. So that's pretty nice. Interesting. Okay, so we had another Cane in hand. So we had the Gunyear, but we're actually going to just use it for the White Mage's effect to cancel the Mobius target, which looked like what we were going to target. Huh. Very interesting. So, well, I mean, we're in pure top deck mode now. So that's not good. But again, if this Behemoth King isn't dealt with, it's just going to kill us on the next turn. We tapped 1. There's a Fenrir. We had a Mobius anyway. Okay, and now we're going to make Behemoth King. Okay. All right, well, that makes sense, because if we hadn't blanked it, then the Mobius still would die. I'm guessing Mohammed's out of cards. Again, I can't necessarily see his hand. Well, we won't even be able to cast the Vaan now, even if we had it. Man, that's... and Xavier's looking at staring down lethal, because even if Mohammed has nothing in hand, who cares? He's got the 2 forwards. Did we draw anything? Nope, doesn't look like it. We have a Luce and a Shemhazi. Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing we could do. I'm assuming there's no burst that would save us. So Mohammed will take that first game. He will definitely stabilize. Man, Xavier, well, let that be a lesson for you, right? You don't throw the Vaan away, because the Vaan might have been your key to get back into it. Yeah, we had another Kane coming up, but we couldn't have played it anyway with that other Kane out. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad idea going for that Bahamut 0 lethal, but it came back to bite us in the butt, that's for sure. All right, well, that was game 1. Let's see what happens in game 2. All right, we are back for game 2, folks, and it looks like Xavier's starting us off with this one. He discarded a Diana and a Kunshira for a Maya. Oh, man, that is not a great start, for being honest. It's a shame. I guess he didn't see any backups this time. And usually if he's going to, put out a forward that early, he just wants to crap out the Vaan. That could at least have gotten him 2 forwards on the board. So, such an un-Xavier-like game, not seeing that Vaan last time. But I know last time, too, Mohammed started with just the Mobius. Surely he'll probably get a backup this time to start with. And he can just take his time to ramp up. I don't think he's going to feel too threatened by this Maya. And honestly, like, what are you going to... There's no point in putting a forward out anyway. It's just going to get dulled on her turn. Unless, of course, you... Well, no, you can't put out the Tiger. It has to go off of the backups. So we've got Earth, Ice. Claris, there we go. Search Job King. We can either grab Kolka or King of Concordia. Probably the King of Concordia. He's a bit cheaper. And we'll get us our watercolor. I haven't seen her yet, but I wonder if we run Celestia in this deck. Because, ooh, man, that card is disgusting. Talking about these new multi-element cards, I made a deck like this for somebody. It was, it was basically Water, Earth, Sophie, but with the Delita and the Celestia, as well as the Tiger in. And it's crazy to me that, again, you can splash ice into this deck, and it legit doesn't color lock you at all. Looks like we just went ahead and threw out the King of Concordia and Sophie for a Sarah. Go search out our Princess Sarah. Probably pass back to our opponent after that. But as I was saying, you're putting in ice cards in this deck, and it doesn't even color lock you, which is just kind of goofy if you think about it. Like, hey, I just jammed a bunch of ice cards in here. By the way, they never color lock me because at their very worst, I can discard them for Earth CP or Water CP, which are my 2 main colors I use. So... very nutty. Interesting he threw down the Princess Sarah right away. Didn't want to be patient. I can only imagine that a Tiger's coming next turn. Because why else would you jam all 3 of those out right away? Like a white Tiger, let's see, has to be coming next turn. I'm sure he made that ice. There's an Agrius. We do have a Job Princess, so we'll get to draw a card. Didn't see the Ovalia's last game, but probably not an issue. And yeah, definitely... Yep, a Tiger's coming down right now. Okay, I was gonna say I would eat the hat that I'm not wearing if a Tiger didn't come down, because there's just why else jam out all 3 backups unless you're determined to do that. He's going to go ahead and lock out the White Mage. Interesting. I almost wonder if I would have frozen the Maya, because the Maya can still get through for damage here. Yeah, and I don't know if he was necessarily going to tap that White Mage anyway. Because yeah, now you just go to combat, dull the Tiger. Maya's going to go in anyway. So I wonder if I just don't know if freezing the White Mage would have done anything. Oh, man, we are just getting burst for days over here. Kuchulain lose its abilities, draw another card, please, right? I mean, and this is kind of why not only is this deck so silly, and why the game itself has kind of gotten silly, and why, things like Mono Ice aren't very good anymore, discard, because you just have nonsense like this, or, hey, I'm going to just keep hitting a bunch of bursts in a row and just constantly draw cards off them. It's like, oh, my goodness. No way to even get an advantage over your opponent. Yeah, and then, of course, no burst for Xavier. It's Illumina again. I think that was his very first point of damage last time. So Mobius. And we'll just go ahead and have White Tiger fight the Maya. Maya's going down. Now keeping the backup downs. Quite nice. There's our Ovalia. Okay, Agrius will actually be online this time. All right. And we either need to ramp up some more backups At least one more, or get Vaan out or something. Because our opponent is putting on the pressure right now. There's Pinello, so well, we'll go fetch Vaan. Kind of a shame we threw away that Zemus, because next turn, I mean, surely we're going to 3 damage. So we could have absolutely played that Zemus and gotten ourselves 2 cards back. We gotta be careful too, because if a Sophie comes down this turn, we're actually gonna go to 4. And it might be hard to get that Vaan trigger. I can't remember when Kunshiro loses her power. If it's at 4 back, I think it's at 4 backups. So I think as long as we were to play Kunshiro right now, she would still have 9,000. But I think it's when you get to 4 that goes down to 6. Which, I mean, it's an interesting idea for a card, but it is not for me. I like to ramp up my backups. I want to go to 5 as quickly as I can. We'll go ahead and lock out our opponent's lightning CP. There's a Diana. And Sarah Mobius will go in. Oh, there's Alba. Alba and Diana back to back. Again, a pretty worthless EX burst. I think maybe, and I've played a lot of the Warriors of Darkness, and I think maybe one time total, Alba has actually done something for me. Here comes Sophie. She's got more than enough power. I'm going to deal our opponent a point of damage, draw a card, and I mean, Xavier is really hurting this game. I don't know what he, in a Wind Lightning deck, I just don't know what he could possibly draw. There's that Zemus again. Oh, man. Again, we could have gotten 2 cards back off it. Not that you want to necessarily be doing anything with backups when you're staring death in the face like this, but he's probably like, oh, if only you could have put me to 5. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, it's going to be so hard for him to get that Vaan down to resolve that damage 5, because chances are Mohammed's either just going to kill him outright from 4 to 7. We may just have to slam it down now, see what we get. I think that's what's coming. We had 2 Moogle backups. Oh, man. Here comes the Vaan. Yep, there he is. I'm Captain Bosch. Van Ronselberg. I can't even say it. Forgive me. Either way, here we go. Vaan effect. 1, 2. There's a Kane. That's not bad. I don't know. Whew, man. We almost missed out. It's nice, too, because Kane does not get his brainwashing counter for coming out that way. And, man, as much as I like seeing that play, because of this Tiger that can just freeze it out, knock it out of the way, I mean, what are you even going to do? Like, it can dull freeze the Kane. And then Vaan's not big enough to block Sophie or the Tiger. Like, we really need removal. I like this Vaan deck just for the amount of bodies it can get, but the lack of removal is definitely hurting us right now. Gonna go ahead and swing in with the Kane, which is interesting because we have Sophie and we have the Sarah up. So basically he's looking at 2 10Ks on defense. So you're thinking you gotta have a trick, right? I mean, if you're Mohammed here, I think you just block. Just force it out of him. I mean, he can't have a whole lot of cards left in hand, right? Like, what could he possibly have? Bahamut Zero is, I don't know if that's just really the time to do it. You can, so the Sophie, if he has a way to remove the Sarah Mobius, obviously it's really easy to trade off the Sophie. But you could block with the Tiger here, and you've got the Princess Sarah back up. You can just send the Tiger up to 10. Like, I've seen Shemhazai in this deck, but I haven't seen any removal summons. I haven't seen anything big. But no, he's gonna hit for damage, and Mohammed's like, that's fine with me. That's my third EX burst. Go ahead and go search out a card. Man, oh man, this is I mean, it wasn't looking good for Xavier, period, but when your opponent's just getting constant EX burst card searches, it's just like, what are you even gonna do about that? All right, it's Mohammed's turn. I mean, it's Bahamut Zero or bust, right? I don't see what else we could possibly have that gets us out of this other than Bahamut Zero. But even then, as Mohammed showed last time, he's even got ways to interact with that. Use the old Mist Dragon, just dull whatever forward's getting targeted. And folks, we're going to guarantee we have Mist Dragon. We put down Iridia backup that just says, hey, go search out Mist Dragon. So again, we are going to stop this Bahamut Zero. But we will at least... Will that let us survive? It will let us survive. Even with the Sophie trigger, we'll put our opponent to... Unless we have a way to scoot this Vaan out of the way. But presumably, we'll target the White Tiger. He'll be forced to dull it with Mist Dragon. And then... No, it goes through... Oh, did we not have Bahamut Zero? Were we just bluffing? Looks like a lightning hit into damage. I mean, this can't be anything, right? I can't tell what that is. Oh, it's a 3 CP Sephiroth. No, that's just the game. That's it. So I guess he had nothing. Oh, he only had 2 cards in hand. That's unfortunate. Okay, I couldn't see his hand size, so... Mohammed, I'm sure if he was asking his hand size, there was just no threat of Bahamut Zero at any time. We just had another version of Kane and Amaya. That is unfortunate for Xavier. Well played by Mohammed, though. Just showing the strength of the Earth, Water, Ice deck and just, taking no prisoners with it and saying, yep, game's over before it gets started. Well, folks, that was it. So congrats to both our competitors. Thanks for the fun times, and see you next time. Take care.